Thank you. I'm Mark Saltzman. It's a pleasure for me to be here again and see so many familiar faces. This is always a pleasure for me to be part of this group. And the only disappointment for me is that I can't participate in any of these other wonderful seminars that have been described. We're the only ones that can't participate.
You have to go to each other's lectures.
That's true. That's good. So I've proposed two different. I also didn't know that we could use visual aids for this, so it's nice to know that that door is open for the future. So I've proposed two topics, both of which I've led seminars on in the past, and I selected them because I thought that they went very well, and they're also, as you can tell, very large topics. So there's room to learn more. There's room for more curriculum units that could be helpful to you and to others. So let me just describe the two seminars briefly. One I did many years ago when I was much younger and wiser, and one I did just a couple of years ago, and I thought they both went very well. So the first one, the one from the more distant past, is called The Brain in Health and Disease. I think it's a topic that you can understand why it's important and interesting to study. We'll talk about the overall structure of the brain, its role in our daily life, and how it works, how it functions. The brain is organized in a very particular way. There are parts of the brain that are used for different kinds of things: vision, movement, conscious thought, and that organization is both interesting and important in understanding how the brain works. It's also, there's also a microscopic level to the brain. It's composed of cells that function in certain ways, and there's molecules inside those cells that perform essential functions that then contribute to the overall property of the brain. So we'll talk about those kinds of things. And then we'll talk about diseases of the brain, which can then be related to what we know about the structure and the architecture of the brain. What goes wrong? What particular cells are affected? What molecules are involved? And that, of course, gives you insight into how these diseases might be treated. And one of the other things I like about this topic is that there's a lot of technology that can now be used to both study the brain and to diagnose disease. And so we can touch on areas of technology and how that impacts both our understanding of the brain and how we deal with failures of brain function. There's a syllabus that's here in the handout that was actually the syllabus that was used last time, and of course it doesn't cover every topic that might be covered, and this can be adjusted depending on the applications that come in and your interest in particular areas. So the second topic is physiological determinants of global health. So what does that mean? So that means, why are we healthy? What makes us healthy? What is the basis of health? And why does it differ in different parts of the world? And one way to look at that is to examine, what do people get sick of? And how does that differ in North America, from Africa, from Asia? And to think about people in the context of their environment. There's four main topics that we'll cover in thinking about this area: genetics, the role of genetics in health; immunity, our immune system, the role of the immune system in health; microorganisms, the microorganisms that we come in contact in our life, and the microorganisms that populate us and make us who we are; and cancer, or the unwanted expansion of certain cell populations in the body. The themes here are sort of the relationship between health and genes and immunity and cell division that I've talked about before. And again, another interesting aspect of this for me is that you can think about technologies in the context of health, technologies that both enhance health, things like vaccines and contraceptives, insulin therapy for diabetics, and you can think about technologies that potentially harm health, the use of fossil fuels, for example, or the use of tobacco. So thank you.